Life is never constant, it is forever evolving. As educators, the biggest challenge and responsibility to train young minds to learn new things and adapt a new things around them. Hello everyone. I am your host Seema Chhoriya and I bring to you another insightful session on great principle. Joining me in conversation is my rational guest of the day, Mrs. Richa Prakash Ghosh, Principal Allenhouse Public School, Panki, Kanpur. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. It's truly an honor to have you today.
Thank you, Seema. Good afternoon, everyone, and to all the viewers. And thank you to the Great Principles platform for once again inviting me to share my views with all of you.
We are all are looking forward to know about your vision journey and ideologies. So let us begin where it all started. So once upon a time, you wanted to be a game changer and leave a massive impact on young individuals. This led you to become an educator, right?
Absolutely. That is how our
So
journey begins.
that is how your journey begins. Wonderful. So as a person, what was the transformation you went through to be an effective teacher?
So, as we have started with the concept of journey already, so it has been, of course, a very enriching journey. And I think it will only end when we pass away or pass on. I have always believed that we can all achieve our goals if we have that right mix of passion, focus, and the portion which is actually most crucial is the ability to learn and to reflect upon our learning. So, three things have been a part of my journey, and they have really helped me become a very, a lifelong learner and effective teacher. And I would say that those have been, I have always been very self directed, internally motivated, and always willing to learn. This also comes, as my viewers may be aware of, we have a concept of pedagogy which we use for children. So there's a concept of andragogy, which talks about the three value systems where a learner is self-directed, is motivated internally, and is always ready to learn. So, once a teacher, you are always a learner for life. And I want my children and my students to learn. If I want that for them, then I obviously need to learn myself. So being a role model for your students and for your teachers, you need to be a learner throughout. So I invest actually a considerable amount of time in this learning to be and eventually forever and ever growing effective teacher or a principal. So there are various ways which I use. One is I definitely keep my reading time as a very fixed time. I'm very fond of reading, but then it's not just a hobby or passing by, but it's something I do deliberately. I love reading about topics which concern pedagogy, instructional leadership, like, when we're talking about effective teaching strategies, classroom management skills, or reading on topics like, storytelling as a tool of instructional teaching learning ways. And definitely being a resource person with CBSC Prayagraj region, I am able to enhance my learning and remain an effective, ever growing learner, by conducting these workshops and webinars for a large number of teachers through this wonderful platform online. Then I keep myself connected with the international voices on education, that is through social media platforms, our Twitter and LinkedIn. Being in the I have a vision for myself that to be a part of the top 50 educators of our country, and to be able to impact the lives of more than 10,000 students, 500 teachers in another 5 years. So I see this transformation as a process which is not uh, organic, but something which has to be well conceived and well perceived. So a school leader has to lead the learning in school for both the teachers and students. So I would say that this has been my way of bringing about transformation in my being, in my, जिसे कहते हैं, अपने वजूद में अपने तरीकों से इंसान और बेहतरीन बन सकता है, और अध्यापक के पास हमेशा एक प्रेरणा स्रोत वो खुद भी उसके अंदर होना चाहिए कि वो अपने अंदर के बच्चे को हमेशा forever alive rakhe. Children are always ready to learn, so we should also be always ready to learn.
Absolutely, So I think, ma'am, you have all the traits which a leader needs to have. Lifelong learning is the biggest trait that we all, in any profession, be it we as a
Okay.
school leader and in any profession in life, we all need that. And once we ensure that our children learn this magical trait, then there is no looking back. We have done our job by teaching them that, yes, this is what you need to do. Once you are a lifelong learner, there is no looking back. And I'm sure, ma'am, you have a very clarity of your goals. That is very much required. Another trait which many leaders don't have. They don't have the clarity where they don't want to reach. So you are very, very clear that I want to be the top 50 educators. I want to touch so many lives. And so that is how, when you know your target, whereas you ensure that you have to achieve it. So we wish you all the luck that you may your goals be achieved very soon. So on this wonderful note, we reach to the next question, which says that formal and informal education should come and ensure children have access to learn life skills that will help them once they are out in the big world. How should we design, map, or reform our Indian schools curricula to benefit children for sustainability?
Well, this is one of the most pertinent, I think, and very topical moot question that is there in the education ecosystem right now. So obviously, 21st century learners need to be taught on a very updated 21st century curricula, which is, as you are very well aware, and my viewers are aware, that which is actually the vision of National Education Policy 2020 as well. In fact, soon the learning standard framework document will be in the public space as it's being developed by CBSE, which is once again taking forward, the vision of NEP 2020. These discussions are already in the public domain. How do we map learning standards to the learning outcomes so that we have a very sustainable future for children to truly make them be the 21st century learner. At the same time, we, as I mentioned, we already have the framework for it being discussed in the public space. We already have the learning outcomes document designed by NCERT, National Council of Education and Research and Training, for the secondary, the foundational, and the preparatory school levels. So, here we are already looking at an education system which is designing and wanting to reform the existing curricula to be able to map it to sustainability, keeping in mind and incorporating even the sustainable development goals as a part of the school's teaching learning ecosystem for the future generations and the present times. This is actually of utmost importance, because as I mentioned earlier, you really cannot benefit the children for the future unless we teach them the very important life skills, which are the most important and pertinent, parameter which fulfills a successful adult life. You see, what is the goal of education? The goal of education is to have an adult who can be a very successful person in this world, and how that is not only through materialism but also somebody who is more sensitive, who is more empathetic, who is able to problem solve, think critically, evaluate, analyze. All these things have to be a part of the curricula. And with the vision that is set out by National Education Policy, I think we are already on this road to becoming a 21st century mapped country, I will say, because it is through these children that we are going to be able to, bring about the transformation. The children of the present are the future of tomorrow. So it is from these children, if we give them an understanding of, inclusion as a part of the school culture, when they see that, they imbibe it, because children spend a considerable amount of time in the school. So we need to really focus on these life skills, in our curricula which is being formed, which should largely be focused on the four C's of, of tomorrow and today, which would be very, very important as we see in the present times. Teamwork, collaboration, very crucial. Most, you know, fundamental, you can say, aspect of uh, being. Rather than teaching children to compete, we have to teach them to work as a team together. United we achieve more. At the same time, being able to critically think on a particular situation. These days we are living in a world of, wanting to sift between the real news and the fake news. So that requires critical thinking, logical thinking in our children to be, taught in the school through the school curriculum, which will help them learn this and understand this better. Then of course, we are looking at the third, aspect of the four C's, which is creative thinking. So you'll be able to you know come up with ideas, where a child is able to not only generate those ideas, but is able to also see the fruition of those ideas. So these, skills are to be focused on, I think, when the reforms are being, which are already under play, and they are in the pipeline, as very successfully being done by Central Board of Secondary Education. And I think, most crucial would be the life skills program, which should be a part of each and every school. This should become like a mandate. When you go, academics, as important as academics, so is important, life skills program, which helps the children, develop the very, very important skills along with these four C's of empathy, of compassion. In fact, in my school, we have, at Allenhouse brand of schools, we have this life skills program, which is curated and it's developed by the Allenhouse group of schools, where grades 1 to 12, we ensure that the learners are, developed, and they are able to understand the very, very important skill of empathy, compassion, ability to cope with emotion, your social skills, collaboration, teamwork, participation, critical thinking. So this is an inbuilt program which I think really needs impetus, especially during this COVID times that we have seen, that so many children, fell behind in terms of their very crucial social and emotional needs, which were not being able to be met. And also, the very, very important aspect of counseling has to be added as a part of, as a mandatory part of a school system, where we are able to be one on one with our children.
Rightly said, ma'am. I completely agree with you that future of any country is sitting in the classrooms today. So the government has taken the right step by focusing on the betterment of the education system. It is a very comprehensive policy. The national education policy is a very comprehensive policy, designed and drafted very, very carefully, keeping in needs all the complete holistic development of the child, and also about the planet also, that it's our responsibility of all the students, of the youth going ahead, that they need to understand that the planet is the one which is being given to them, and they need to bring it to in a better shape when it they further pass it on to their generation. So along with studies, we are also teaching kids how to maintain this beautiful planet which we are having. So there are so many things, and as you mentioned, what Ellen House is already doing, I'm witnessing this in so many educators daily tell me that we are already doing such programs. So this paradigm shift from just not focusing on academics, rather on the four C's, so that a child is able to be, a critical thinker, developing his other skills. So that is very good. And I'm seeing this good change. And I'm really happy that at least my children are going to have a great future. So on this note, we move ahead to our conversation. So, ma'am, as you have a long journey as an educator, and now you're leading a school from the top. You would have faced some hurdles along the way. So, I would like to know the name of that educationist that you look upon for your advice, help, and support and inspiration.
Uh, well, I am inspired by many, and I would say not necessarily educationist, but I would here like to mention actually, I'm very much inspired by my father, who was, of course, not an educationist by profession. He was in the civil services, and through him, I actually learned to always remain humble. uh, in whatever position one holds, it is a temporary thing. Humility is something which touches lives of many, and it is through humility of his that I imbibed in me the idea of being humble. That is something which I have which really has inspired me. Through him, I have also learned not to wait to be kind and compassionate. You should be able to help anyone anytime, because there is no right time to be able to help anyone. This is the time, this is the good time to help. Second, I would like to mention here is my husband, Sabyasachi. He's an educator, he's an artist, a traveler, explorer. His journey of learning actually has taught me a lot and continues to inspire me to persist, to know more, to learn better, to persevere, to be a better me each day, to never really give up on one's dreams. Why I say this is he started on his journey basically of revealing to himself the unknown monuments of India. And this year in January, he completed his solo bike travel to all the 28 states of India on his bike, as I mentioned. And he has literally covered the length, breadth of the country, and all by himself. He is now writing a book. So his journey I see into the idea of Indian heritage and monuments, from where he began as a a simple traveler. He took that traveling and inspiration from that traveling, he made it into a passion and into a goal of covering the length and breadth of the country. And his story is actually a very inspiring life story for me of what anyone, including me as an educationist, can achieve through passion, through fortitude, and through compassion. So then, I would say the third most important educators to me, and are my are the children, because if we notice the children, they teach us a lot. They teach us the idea of, I mean, to name a few, I'll say about focus. Children are usually very, very focused. They have a lot of passion, and that is what we need to retain also as they grow up. And I think children are the best. They are all that is literally good about the human race, all that is pristine about life. They help you enjoy and bask in simple joys. So children, then of course, teachers. Teaching is you know one profession which is closest to closest to the image of all that is can be called heavenly, can be called ethereal. So teachers are definitely, I be my teacher myself. So a teacher is truly an inspiration for me. The mostly in India we have in teaching community mainly women. There is this indefatigable, relentless energy in the teachers. How they painstakingly work for the students for the results which are very intangible. Academics is one tangible, but then the results of how that child is going to grow up to be as an adult, those are intangible results which will only be visible in years much later when children will grow up to be definitely, hopefully, responsible and conscientious adults. So teachers are my inspiration. I am very open to learning from the teachers. There are times when we have these discussions, and you know where I realized that I have learned so much, and they also their everyday struggles, their personal struggles also is a very strong ray of hope of all that is uh, going to be, that everything will be set right in the times to come. And now really finally coming to the educationist, as in the educationist, I look forward to the writings and the work of Professor Krishna Kumar, uh, under whom the national curriculum framework of 2010 was framed, and Professor Madan Mohan Pant. These two educationists I really feel inspired with. When I think about their energy, even at this age where they are now elderly, the energy they have, the passion they have for education and for their work is very, very inspiring for me.
Great, I think you are one of those lucky women. We women always look up to two people, that is the father and the partner. One who help us grow and one who, is always there to support us. So both of them are your pillar of strength, always there to support you. And I think you are an amazing person yourself, because not everyone is open to learning, especially from the peers. And you are open to learn from your teachers, your students. So it really, we all need to set aside that I know everything. Learning is everywhere, and the small children, they teach a lot. Believe me, ma'am, when I go home, my son, he's not angry at me if I'm late. Given the fact that adults generally, why you're late, what were you doing, and you're down. But he always jumps up, hugs me, and just welcomes me. So, this is what we learn from the children. They're amazing. Why you're supposed to complain when a person is already tired when you are back at home? Why not welcome them with a smile and then
True.
understand, all right, what happened? So, yes, you rightly said there is so much to learn from these little gems in our, and you are always surrounded by them. So yes, learning is going on, but yes, you also need to have an attitude to learn from them. And if you develop that like ma'am has, then there is a lot of learning for you, and every day you are becoming a better version of yourself. So that is great to know about your pillar of strengths. Moving ahead to my next question, as you also spoke about the pandemic, yes, pandemic has been a learning point for many of us. Talking about the emotional health, there is a lot of loss for students, and this 2 years has been particularly harsh for many profession. Now that schools are reopening, ma'am, I would like to know the challenges that schools are facing as they are reopening their doors, and how they are dealing with the emotional mindset of the students. I'm sure now students are not in the even the habit of sitting for such long durations. So what are the challenges that you are facing?
So, my journey has been less of challenges, honestly, because throughout this time, in this pandemic, as I mentioned, my teachers have been like a very big pillar of support, and so are the students and their parents. Definitely, however, reopening of the school as it has happened in this month, that from grades pre-primary up to grade 12, the school has, open for everyone, and there are supposed to be no of online classes anymore. So this has been a shock to some of the parents. However, we had keeping in mind that eventually the school will be opening, so we have it been informing the parents that we will have as soon as the government informs us, we will be going offline, and that would be tentatively around February. This is what we had already informed the parents around December and January. So parents and children were, very mindful, and their mindset had already been framed and formed. So we didn't face those kind of challenges, but yes, there are some challenges which are very, circumstantial challenges which parents are also facing. Like there are parents who got transferred in the course of this pandemic time, but they continue to be with the school because the teaching was also online. So those parents are facing the challenge, but for them, obviously, we are I believe that, you see, a school is a sum of the parents, the students, the teachers, the management. So being a part of being a part of that whole, we have to always keep in mind the priority here being our children. So we are working one on one in those cases where parents have informed us, that it is a challenge for them, to relocate from wherever they've got transferred to. So those things are, we are keeping that consideration in mind, and we are extending the facility of online classes, because in the end, as learning never stopped during the pandemic. So hopefully, if I may take the liberty of saying post pandemic, also learning should not stop. Also, you see, I feel that, challenges in classrooms are now also about the social and emotional well-being of children. Throughout the pandemic phase, we have remained in touch with the parents. We have tried to constantly monitor and understand the emotional and social well-being of a child in case the child is attending a class online and has dropped out of the class for more than 2 days. We have a system of care call to the parent. We call the class teacher, calls the parent, finds out what is wrong, why is the child not attending the class. We are of course all aware that children are usually, they used to keep their videos switched off, but however we know that there is an attendance system, so we were aware that who are attending the class, who are not attending the class. So that was the second way where we were able to keep in touch with the parents, in terms of the well-being of the children. We also encourage them to keep us informed of any ailments, any problems they are facing, so that we can support the child in the school, be it online and even offline. So those are parent affirmation, and I think this level of consent and mutual understanding is very, very crucial, because we need to take the parent along in the decisions. And I think when we do that, it anyways reduces the challenge. When they don't see the school as us and them, they don't see it as a binary, they see it as a together. School is a part of, extended part of their family, I would say. So when we are able to reflect upon our working, and we work in this way, I feel we are able to motivate and inspire and reduce those kind of challenges, because we need to also keep in mind empathy, because these have been times which are difficult. However, of course, we have never compromised on the non-negotiable roles. Now this sort of sounds a bit contradictory, I think, that how do you manage empathy with non-negotiable roles. So here I would like to elucidate and delve upon that every rule which is there need not be rigid. We need to maintain flexibility on grounds of compassion, as parents and families have really suffered a lot during the pandemic. And we try to impress upon the parents that उनके साथ से ही हमारा विकास है. It is only through their cooperation that we will flourish as a school and our children will flourish. So we are only insisting upon sending their children to school so that we can also help them fill the learning gap. the emotional trauma, the physical unwellness as such that the children have undergone, can that hiatus, that gap can be filled up. And most of the times, I've seen parents act very, very responsibly when we take them into confidence. I have always, I have not come across per se any such challenge or a difficult parent. And we are also encouraging, the parents to have their children vaccinated, so that, the fear, the, you know, aspect of threat is reduced for all of our children. So these are the ways, school is a beautiful homecoming for the children. It's lovely, to see and hear, to see them and hear those, the sounds, the sounds of laughter, the sound of foot thumping, uh, the kind of frown they have, or the kind of smile they have, the kind of surprise they have, when they see you suddenly walking in the corridor. So all that is, a beautiful journey to have children back to school. And I think, by keeping the parents in confidence, and we really can reduce the challenges that a school can face, because we need to express to them through our working that, this is not a binary, this is one.
Right. I really love the point where you mentioned our children. So, our children is a big term. So, my dear parents, when teachers, school, and we as parents have only one focus, that is the good for our children. So, there is no second thought. And I think children are meant to be in school, and schools' walls are designed for children. The schools thrive on the laugh, the giggles, the sentiments that students bring in the school walls. So, they both are meant to be together. So, parents, now the pandemic has taken the shape of endemic. And yes, vaccine is also coming up very soon. The government is going to announce the vaccine for all the age groups. So let's, have faith and see the things happening. And we all need to take a step to get our children back to school. Yes, there are some challenges, as I mentioned, which I never thought of, that some parents might have got transferred to in this journey. So yes, we all need to overcome this and get our children back in their right place. So beautiful thoughts, ma'am. Yes, parents and students, when they work as a team, then only the school and the children have an amazing, successful future together. So this is a good takeaway for all our educators down there, that we need to ensure that our parents are in complete confidence with all our decisions. So on this wonderful note of our children, we need to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called rapid fire round. So, ma'am, here we will be revealing some fun facts about you, and you have to answer in one word or a statement. All
Definitely.
right. So
Absolutely.
are going to start, and here goes my first question. Tell us about a funny or a weird incident in your life.
Oh, this will take some time actually. So this, I was working as a teacher in Delhi Public School in Riyadh, and there was this girl, brilliant, because if you have 100% in all subjects, what else do you call the child? So she was that time reading in class 9, and it was a parent teacher meeting, and set of parents, they come to me and they start talking about the child, and I mistook them to be the parent of an ex child instead of the Y1. Y1 was outstanding. So I started telling them that, you see, in social science, she needs to do better. And in, overall, she has to gain that attitude of, being, believing in herself. And they kept hearing me very patiently, very calmly. And the mother was even polite enough, to tell me that, ma'am, I will tell her, I'll definitely look into this. And, all that happened. And then suddenly I saw this Y child come and stand behind the parents, the couple. And the way she obviously stood behind the couple, it obviously implied that these are her parents. I was so embarrassed. I was like, it is, and I mean, I just didn't have any words to express myself. I said, I'm so sorry. Mistook you, to be, because whenever the child would come, and you can imagine the plight of a teacher. You see, for the parent, you are one teacher. For a teacher, you are, you are identified by your child, actually. Child is the identity. So I said, every time you come with her, and now today, and you were so kind, why did you hear all this? Because she had got 100 on 100 in social science, and yet the mother was so polite, in saying that, ma'am, I'll see, I'll look into it, what she can do better. So that was sort of a hilarious thing, but a very embarrassing moment. And any time and every time, and even now, when of course the girl has grown up and she's recently, in fact, about to get married, we always laugh about it, that ma'am. And I was really, really embarrassed. It was a very, very embarrassing moment for me.
All right. So, there is learning from each such moments that next time, first we'll ask, all right, so who are you and whom are you here to see? Right? Great. So such incidents, they always bring smile to our face. And it's okay for our viewers also to understand that, yes, leaders also make mistakes and mistakes are there to learn. So there is nothing wrong in making mistakes. So going ahead in our next question, what are your hobbies? How do you spend your recreational time?
Okay, so there is lots that I like doing, and I like reading, as I said. So that is a part of my recreation. I mean, may not like it, but that is also a part of my recreation. So reading is something, and I don't like light reading. I don't. I usually like reading biographies and something related to academics. Then I'm into trekking, paragliding. That's one very, very interesting thing I find. And traveling. And as I mentioned about my husband, so he and I share this passion of traveling to these unknown monuments. In fact, very recently, you are, as you were mentioning earlier, that you are also at a point in time from Kanpur. So in the vicinity of Kanpur, all thanks to my husband, we went, biking, and we discovered so many temples in this vicinity of hardly 25 kilometers radius of Kanpur. So that was that is something I really find very, very something peaceful, something which brings me very close to you know a balance kind of a thing in my life. Listening to music, classical, instrumental, that is how I spend my time.
Great, I envy you. What an amazing, life you have. I so very love monuments and to know about them. And it fascinates how in those days also such amazing structures were built. And we feel so much pride in our country that such amazing things are there existing it. So great. It's great to know how do you spend your time. And you mentioned that you read and you read daily. So any two biographies that you would like to tell us that has changed you as a person?
Well, more than biographies, I would, rather like to mention, something which, because biographies, not too many people are interested in. It's not everybody's, taste and like. But I'll definitely would like to suggest definitely two books to educators if they haven't already read. One is by Professor Krishna Kumar, which is What is Worth Teaching. It's uh, it's a very, very semantic work, and it will really, really make us understand the real actual goal of education and teaching. And the second is, it's in two volumes. It is by Kamala V Mukund. It's a two-volume book. What did you ask in school today? That is the name of the book. What did you ask in school today? And the other one is What is Worth Teaching.
All right, so wonderful. The title sounds really amazing. So, to all my dear viewers, go ahead and grab these books and enhance your learning. Going ahead to my next question, you are currently in Punky, so tell me what is Punky famous for?
Punky is famous for the thermal power station that we have nearby.
All right. Last question in this segment, which activities allow you to live a life with some adventure in it? I think you already mentioned it, trekking and all, right? The paragliding
True.
and trekking. So what is that you like when you are, what are the feelings that you have when you are in the sky with your glider?
Well, to tell you the truth, the first time when I went for it, I was very super excited, and I had always wanted to go for this paragliding. I just didn't go to any place in Missouri or Manali. I had told, because I'm always very careful in what I'm doing. I like to be a person who does things with responsibility. So I told my husband that whenever we are going to go for the bike ride to Dharamshala, that is be the time we'll go to Palampur. Palampur is known for an international paragliding unit stationed there, Birbiling, the mountains. So it was there that I went for, and I was super excited. It was, it was a moment of, one of the chips in the bucket list is done. So, however, when I reached the top and I saw these young little children, age 7, age 8, wanting to take the leap of faith, it was very, very motivating. However, when the glider who was supporting me told me that you have to first take the leap of faith, for a moment I was like, is it so? Is this the moment to reckon with? And when I did do that, it takes, of course, a whole lot of courage to just drop yourself down from 12,000 feet high. And that was a time, which brings in that sense of, I think it is a moment of complete self realization. When you are coming down from that high, and the kind of beauty, that you see around you, when you're in, at that level, when you are almost within the clouds. It was an amazing thing, the drop, which of course you didn't want to drop, but the drop that was there, which is completely green, and the conifers that you can see, it was I think it was just very, very ethereal, and it made you feel like, at least it made me feel, that this I should be doing, to feel that freedom, that independence, that sense of letting go more often. But as I said, I am a person who does things with responsibility, and I will urge everybody else also to do so. As always, adventure doesn't mean that we just let go, we have to have, I always say this very often to my children, that there is a sort of freedom in discipline. When you are disciplined, you are actually free. It's a oxymoron, but if you do things, freedom doesn't mean that you start doing things which are unbecoming. Freedom means that you
Right.
exercise that with a lot of discipline, and then you actually are free to do and be anything.
Right. The way you described, I think it's better one experience it. I don't have words to talk more about it because that things just can be just experienced rather than I talk about it. So wonderful to know you in this segment. We got to know such other side of you. You love adventure, you are a classical music lover, you love reading. So it was great to know you in this segment. Well, my next question I think has already been answered about the learning. So I would ask you about homeschooling. Many of my viewers ask me that would it be a good idea if I plan to homeschool my child? So I would like to know your thoughts about it.
Well, I have this experience borrowed from my friend. She was homeschooling her son, and up to a certain age, it was okay. But then she, as a parent, we realized that the child has no social life. I think that almost all our parents have undergone this, forced and compelled homeschooling during the time of the pandemic, and I think that in itself speaks volumes that. You know uh, it is very essential. Human being is not born recluse. We no man is an island. Children are supposed to develop and grow in a social environment, something which was totally lacking and missing, and which is actually totally lacking and missing if we go for something like a homeschooling. And up to a certain age also, I feel it's pointless, because the idea of an individual is to collaborate, to work with others. So if we don't give that kind of opportunity, and that will not happen, because children identify with each other through schools. Where are you studying, which school are you studying, which class are you studying? Okay, you are junior to me, you are senior to me. When you're doing homeschooling, there is no there are no levels. You can not say, you feel also very out of place, because then you are not socialized like that, you don't know people, you are not able to make friends, because there is just nobody who is very willing to be a part of your coterie, you can say, or your life. Because how do you do that? How do you go about, meeting people, if not, through a school? A school is a very, very important social community for a child. And I think this question should be actually out of everybody's mind. And I've seen that, most many a times in my previous organization where I was working, there were times, when parents would question that, how does the school help? How does the school make such a big difference? But I think all these questions were totally answered in a very unfortunate way, I will say, because of the pandemic. But they came to be literally answered by this pandemic, where it showcased, the effort, the genuinity, the utility of this community, which is called the school community, where you have the teachers, you have the parents, you have the management, you have the ancillary staff, you have a whole, it's a whole world in itself, which brings the microcosm to the child, wherein when he'll go out into the, the macro world. So homeschooling is definitely, in my opinion, not a very good idea for a child uh, in his or her developmental stage. In all three factors, you could say, the cognitive domain, the affective domain, the psychomotor domain. When they see another child, playing, wanting to, win the race, there's that, positive competition. There are so many things children learn from each other, which doesn't happen if the child is just being totally homeschooled.
Certainly, completely agree with you, ma'am. The research has proven that the greatest form of learning is a peer learning. And if the child is homeschooled, that will be completely lost. So, to my dear viewers, I will not talk much about this, but I would leave you with a question that ask yourself, why do you send your child to school? Is it only about academics? So just think on it. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your time with us. Richa, ma'am, I'm really grateful for people like you who chose to become educators and bring light into this world. Thank you so much for your time with us. It was completely an insightful conversation, and I'm sure my viewers are going to gain a lot from this. We are really grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema, and thank you to the Great Principles Forum. It is a very, very beautiful journey. I'm sure if I'll really urge the viewers, to watch the Great Principles Forum, on YouTube. It's a journey which takes you and which gives you a lot of insight, into the lives of so many principles. It's a really learning platform. For me, also, it's a learning platform. And to all the viewers, I would like to say that, keep in mind that learning is a journey, and never give up. It's not just restricted to school education. And to you, Seema, you're most welcome to come and visit your hometown. For years now, maybe you have not visited. You're more than welcome, and your team, to visit us and to be our guest in Kanpur at Allenhouse Public School, Panki.
Sure, sure, ma'am. We are looking forward to this. Thank you so much for this opportunity of visiting. And yes, I would definitely come up. And we are looking forward to have you again on many of our upcoming sessions. So thank you so much, ma'am.